Okay. There. Okay, so today, as I have already told you, we are going to start Unit 5 related to the C.R.C. or the Convention on the Rights of the Child. But you're going to see that it is not only the Convention on the Rights of the Child, but also two more conventions, which are the Hague Convention or la Convención de la Haya, the Hague Convention, or the ILO Convention related to the worst forms of employment for children. So, there, are you seeing my PPT, please?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, in this unit, Unit 5, you are going to find the C.R.C. Convention, the Convention 182 on the worst forms of child labor, and it is from 1999, from the ILO, la OIT, the ILO organization, and the Hague Convention. The Hague Convention, you're going to see, it is related to the situation in which some children are put by their parents or other persons when some courts have to take the child and give it back to his or her parent because they have been abducted by the other parent. That's the Hague Convention, or another relative. That's the Hague Convention. You are going to see that. These three conventions are related to children. So the C.R.C. International Convention on the Rights of the Child. The comic part is the rights of the child, but in Spanish we say los derechos del niño, derechos del niño, o decimos derechos de niños, niñas y adolescentes. And here you say the rights, the Convention on the Rights of the Child. El problema es que it is child and not girls. It is not inclusive to the term girl, but the idea is that the rights of a child comprises the rights of the children and girls and adolescents also. So the United Nations General Assembly adopted the Convention on the Rights of the Child in 1989. It is important to understand that this convention did not emerge out of the blue. This beautiful collocation or expression, out of the blue, as an explosion, out of nothing. It didn't emerge out of the blue. Different declarations, covenants, statutes paved the way, another collocation, another idiom, paved the way for the Convention on the Rights of the Child. The first major step in the recognition of children's rights was far back in time in 1924 by the League of Nations. And here you have, then I'm going to provide you with a PPT, and here you have some history related to this 1924 declaration previous to the C.R.C. But the C.R.C. is the most widely and rapidly ratified human rights treaty in history. Then you're going to see that probably there's only one country that does not ratify, it has not ratified the C.R.C. Which is this country? Do you know? No?
The only one country? No.
No. I think it is the United States, as it happens with the Tokyo Convention on the environment. So the United States didn't ratify this convention, and also the care of the environment, the children and the environment. Okay, the C.R.C. is a milestone treaty that states the following children's rights, among others. These are the most important ones: health, education, the idea, the right to express their own opinions, culture, religion, an adequate standard of living as a right, leisure and play, and protection from exploitation. That protection from exploitation will coincide with the ILO Convention on the worst forms of employment. This is the C.R.C. timeline, and I have included that in one of the papers. I think that we will be able to see that. Are you seeing that? History of children's.
Not yet.
Okay, let's see. Now, are you seeing the web page? History of child rights, it says. Yes, some of you. There is a picture in the middle. No?
No, I have.
What are you seeing?
I have this paper,
Okay.
this
No,
video.
no. But the idea is that no, this is another. This is not a video. This is a web page from the
Okay.
from UNICEF. And
Yes, from UNICEF.
And are you seeing that or not?
No, I start, but the time, the rush hour.
Sorry. Well, I will quit this web page and I will follow on with my, well, later on you may follow this information, because there in this timeline, there's this first convention from 1924, and then the other conventions up to the point when we find the C.R.C. convention. Well, it's a pity, but we follow one because we have a lot of material today. And well, first of all, the Convention on the Rights of the Child. It says November 2014 because it was an old PPT, but don't worry. Here I have some quick exercise. Is match the picture with the correct heading. You should think of it. Rights to health. These are the headings of some pictures that you will see now. Rights to health, rights to an education, rights to an identity, life, the rights to life, freedom from exploitation, right to a leisure time and right to play, standard of living, right to be respected as a person, right to an adequate life in case of disability, and right to fair treatment. Yes, these are the headings. It is an exercise. What if I show you this one? And it says, Tatiana, would you like to read?
Yes. The C.R.C. states that every child has a right to life and that governments ensure children survive and develop healthily.
Develop healthily. So it is the right to
health.
Right to health. Excellent. Another one. Vanessa.
Every child has the right from birth to a name, a nationality, and to be cared for by his or her parents.
To be cared for by his or her parents.
His or her parents.
You should say cared for by his or her parents. So this is the right to, yes, cared for, because it's it goes together. They go together.
It goes together. Okay, okay.
Cared for. Okay. What is this right?
Identity.
Excellent, excellent, Anaí. Excellent, Vanessa. Okay, another one. This is for Anaí. Ah, well, it says the heading or not.
Anaí. Every child has the right to health and health services.
So it is right to
health.
Health, excellent. Tatiana.
Every child has a right to be protected from hazardous hazardous or harmful work and from economic exploitation.
Okay.
As right for no exploitation.
Yes, to be protected against exploitation. Vanessa.
Children have the right to rest and leisure, to engage in play and recreational activities appropriate to the age of the child, and to participate freely in cultural life and the arts.
So,
right to a leisure time and right to play.
Yes. What about every time and I has the time, it is already said. So I say every child has the right to an education. So the child is being educated. Look at the letters. The letters are probably taken from Arab or something.
Arabian.
Yes, Arabian. Yes, excellent.
Arabian.
Oh, you know that this next Monday I start again my second level of Hebrew.
Nice.
I passed the first level and now I have to start the second level. But the thing is that now I'm a judge, I'm full of work. I don't know, but I will see. Okay.
It's easy to write the letters or?
Yes, I think it's not so difficult, but it has some difficulties. For instance, Hebrew, there's one is Aleph Bet, it's not alphabet, it's not alphabet, it's Aleph Bet because it's Aleph and Bet. Those are the first two letters, Aleph Bet, and there's an Aleph Bet, one in order to be written, and the other one in order to be read. Two Aleph Bets, different.
Yes.
So, but well, I'm starting. That's my starting point. And besides Hebrew, I think also Arab has you have to write from right to left.
Yes.
So it exercises another part of the brain. Okay. Another thing, Tatiana.
Every child has a right to not to be subjected to torture or other cruel and human and degrading treatment or punishment.
Degrading.
I think
so
degrading. I think as fair treatment.
Fair treatment. Okay. Vanessa.
Every child has the right to an adequate standard of living.
Well, it is already said. And Anai.
Children with disabilities have the right to full and the decent life in conditions that ensure dignity, promote self-reliance, and facilitate active participation in one's community.
Okay, it is self-reliance. Self-reliance is when you believe in yourself, self-reliance, etc. So what is this?
Right to an adequate life in case of disability.
Well, but that was a nice term.
Sorry.
Well, so, Anai, tell me.
The right to, as Vanessa said, is...
Yes, but tell me again. Because it's your turn.
Sorry.
Okay.
So
do
I have to say it?
Yes, please.
Yes.
I'm reinforce the concept.
The right to dignity for children with disabilities.
With disability. Excellent. Yes, and dignity. It is excellent. Okay. Well, here we try to read the mandatory text, which is the guiding principles in the C.R.C. because this mandatory text it is uploaded on the platform. The C.R.C. Convention, let's see. No, this is not. What else? Let's see. No, it's not. Well, this. Are you seeing one PF document? Children's rights. Are you seeing
Yes.
that?
I download a lot of documents and I start to reading, but I didn't.
No, but
find,
on your screen.
Ah, yes, I can see.
Okay,
Yes.
because it says on your screen, you should be able to read. It says children's rights, international convention, theoretical considerations. Okay.
Theoretical. How it spells the how do you pronounce?
Theoretical.
Theoretical.
Theoretical. Okay. This document is uploaded on the platform. It is sort of a guide. Okay. So there are 4 guiding principles related to the C.R.C. Let's see. Okay, this is the theoretical part. Some of it I have already read on the PPT, but then you will find for instance, this document, I have already read that. You can see that I have been following on this document. And what else? This C.R.C. 4 guiding principles. On the C.R.C. or the Convention on the Rights of the Child has 4 parts or 4 guiding principles. Equality, the best interest of the child, que en español lo usamos mucho, decimos, ¿cómo que le decimos? El mejor interés del niño, no. Decimos, por el interés del niño, no. ¿Cómo decimos cuando en un juicio decimos?
El interés superior del niño.
El interés superior del niño. El interés superior. Vieron que cuando uno está en inglés no le sale la otra. El interés superior del niño. So, equality, the best interest of the child. So, in English is the best interest. So, in English it would be el interés mejor. Well, but it's el interés superior del niño. Equality, the best interests of the child, life, survival, and development. That's the 3rd principle. And the 4th principle is participation. So let's see. What are the 4 principles? Who can tell me one?
Equality.
Equality, that's one.
The best interest of the child.
Okay, the best interest of the child. The 3rd one.
Life, survival, and development.
Yes, and development. Yes, and the 4th one. I think that nobody practices it a lot. The 4th one is participation. Participation, and you will see as a lawyer, you will see that participation is as important as development, life, and what else? What else? Well, the best interest of a child or equality. So participation is quite important. It's one of the 4 guiding principles. And participation in a, for instance, in a trial, it means that you should summon is convocar, summon the child to listen to the child. In case that one of the rights of a child is at stake. So participation. So in this section, we are following and quoting the author Akunzada in her work Discourse, and this work is also uploaded, but it's quite difficult, quite tricky, quite entangled, the document. Discourse analysis related to a C.R.C. And so in this document, the discourse analysis, this Akunzada author talks about equality, the best interest of the child, life survival and development, and participation. So there are 4 guiding principles. The first guiding principle is equality. So I have already uploaded Article 2 related to non-discrimination and equality. And could you read it?
This is the non-discrimination principle as broached in
Yes.
C.R.C. Article 2. Article 2. 1. States parties shall respect and ensure the rights set forth in the present convention to each child within their jurisdiction
Yes.
without discrimination of any kind, irrespective of the child's or his or her parents or legal guardians' race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national, ethnic, or social origin, property, disability, birth, or other status.
Okay.
2. States parties shall take all appropriate measures that ensure that the child is protected against all forms of discrimination or punishment on the basis of the status, activities, expressed opinions, or beliefs of the child's parents, legal guardians, or family members.
Okay. So this is the first principle, the first guiding principle, which is equality. So the most important implication of this principle is that governments should treat equally all needy and deprived children in their distribution of goods. The convention has set the equality principle, and as per this principle, child should be tackled with this respect, realizing his or her unique environment, physical characteristics, desires, and advantages. So the second guiding principle, the best interests of the child. In Spanish is el interés superior del niño. So in English, it should be the superior interest, but it's not, it's the best interests of the child. The best interest of the child means that you have past involvement, love and contact, health, parents' wishes, child's wishes, family relationships, needs, priority, domestic violence, location, whatever, and you have the best interest of the child as a superior principle. The thing is that sometimes you don't know what is the best interest of the child because it's an abstract concept. That's the problem. Okay, so Vanessa, you are going to read Article 3 related to the best interest of the child.
Article 3. 1. In all action concerning children, whether undertaken by public or private social welfare institutions, court of law, administrative authorities, or legislative bodies, the best interest of the child shall be a primary consideration. 2. States parties undertake to ensure the child such protection and care as is necessary for his or her well-being, taking into account the rights and duties of his or her parents, legal guardians, or other individuals legally responsive for him or her, and to this end shall take all appropriate legislative and administrative measures.
Okay. Okay, well, I think it's quite clear. The thing is to apply it in the perfect point. Oh, number 3, Vanessa.
Okay. States parties shall ensure that the institution, services, and facilities responsive for the care or protection of children shall conform with the standards established by competent authorities, particularly in the areas of safety, health, in the number of suitability of their staff, as well as competent supervision.
Okay, it's established. Established.
Where?
The standards established.
It's a challenge for me read all these words, difficult words.
Well, but I think that you do it you are going to do that okay, in a very good manner. I hear you. I think that you have improved a lot also.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
thank you.
I think so. Yes, I think so. Okay.
It's
And I
cost a
the
lot
same.
for me. A
And
lot of
Tatiana,
energy.
your third or fourth language, Tatiana, this language, which language it is for you? You have Russian, Spanish, English, what else?
I didn't understand the
Tatiana,
question. Sorry.
how many languages do you speak?
How many languages? Three. I speak well Russian and Spanish.
Spanish?
I am studying English.
You are studying
but,
English, yes. Because
but
you know that
I'm
Tatiana
speaking
plans to
very
go
well.
to the United States. Tatiana wants to go to the United States. That's why.
Very good for you.
Yeah. Well, the child best interests principle must be upheld at any cost. Mind this verb. The verb is uphold, and in the past it is upheld. Must, or in the past, or the particle.
Participate.
Yes, yes, that one. So in order to be used for the perfect, the present perfect, it is must be upheld at any cost by all those public and private sectors, actors undertaking activities related to children in numerous ways. The best interest principle in C.R.C. Article 3 seems easy to grab as it relates to the welfare of children. Undoubtedly, an uncontested value, even amid this amid junto con, even amid those who object to children's rights terminology. Parents need to consider children's rights earnestly, even if these are in contrast with the well-being of the child. Okay. Parents therefore should breach their child's rights only when such breach of a right is completely essential to safeguard the interests of children. I think that parents should never breach the children's rights, but I don't know. That's one expression from the document we have taken, yes? Well, the third guiding principle, life, survival, and development. You can see there 2 children living in the streets. And I think it's from Buenos Aires. This principle is so life, survival, and development for children, lives. So which were the 4 principles? Who can tell me? 4 principles, 4 guiding principles were 1, equality,
best
participation,
excellent. The 4th one,
best superior, the best interest of the children.
The best interest, yes. And the 4th is this one.
Come on.
Yes, life, survival, and development. Yes. So the principle resides on Article 6 and Article 19. Article 6, states parties recognize that every child has the inherent right to life. So the right to life. States parties shall ensure to the maximum extent possible the survival and development of the child. Article 19. States parties shall take all appropriate legislative, administrative, social, educational measures to protect the child from all forms of physical and mental violence, injury or abuse, neglect, negligent treatment, maltreatment, exploitation, including sexual abuse, while in the care of parent, legal guardian, or any other person who has the care of a child. So that's the moment, the situation with the exploitation of children by their parents, or abuse by the parents or relatives. So such protective measures should, as appropriate, include effective procedures for the establishment of social programs to provide necessary support for the child or for those who have the care of a child, as well as for other forms of prevention and for identification, reporting, investigation, treatment, and follow-up of instances of child maltreatment described heretofore. Mind the heretofore. And do you remember that we have studied these compound words in legal English, heretofore, heretofore. So it's here in this document, to for, para adelante. Yes, so described here, de atrás para adelante, heretofore, described here in this document, and as appropriate for judicial involvement. You know that today, for judges, you know that I'm a judge now. Did you know? Did you? I have told my students, I don't know if I have told you. So I'm a judge, and it's for me it's quite a responsibility, because I think that we have the obligation to provide citizens a real right. It's not a right in just words or spirits, or le llaman cumplimiento efectivo de los derechos, because of some international conventions that say that administrative power, judicial power, and legislative power have to ensure this, for instance, these human rights in reality, not just lyrically. Okay, so that's my obligation as a judge. So cruelty and sexual oppression specifically endanger children's right to survival and development. So what are the articles that ensure this survival and life and etc. for children? 2 articles.
2 articles.
2 articles from the C.R.C.
Ah.
2 numbers.
19.
6 and 19. Okay.
6
So
and
that will, Anaí, that will be useful for you in your practice in Spanish. So 6 and 19. Okay. So now the 4th guardian principle. This is for Tatiana. Participation.
Article 12.1. States parties shall assure to the child who is capable of forming his or her own views the right to express those views freely in all matters affecting the child. The views of the child being given due weight in accordance with the age and maturity of the child. For this purpose, the child shall in particular be provided the opportunity to be heard in any judicial and administrative proceedings affecting the child, either directly or through a representative or an appropriate body, in a manner consistent with the procedural rules of national law.
National law. Yes. Follow on, please. This principle. Tatiana.
Yes. No escuché bien.
Okay. This principle in Article 12 for Tatiana. Can you read?
Sorry.
Yes, that's for you.
This principle in Article 12 of C.R.C. is comparatively the latest idea and possibly the most continuous among the guiding principles. As it's
contentious is contentious. You know what contentious is? Contentious. What is contentious?
Que contiene, digamos, lo más importante.
Contentious. I think that contentious in this case, it means debatable. It could be debatable, contentious. So the most contentious, go on, please, Tatiana.
Sorry, en español, el significado.
Debatible. Debatible. discutido.
Most contentional amongst the guiding principles, as it signifies
Yes,
an increase of the rights rhetoric ahead of those propagating the welfare and protection of children. This is not essentially as adversary to protection and welfare. Decision-making practices.
Enhance. Eso mejora.
Enhance children's self-respect, trust in others, and a strong feeling of being honored.
Okay. And you know that for the C.R.C, there's also an additional convention, which is a protocol. This is now, we have left the 4 guiding principles. I think that the 4 guiding principles are okay. We have already dealt with that. So we're going to go into the optional protocol on the sale of children, child prostitution, and child pornography. That's an optional protocol that is added to the C.R.C. And some countries have ratified it, and some countries have not. So there are 3 optional protocols to the Convention on the Rights of the Child, the optional protocol to the Convention on the Rights of the Child on the involvement of children in armed conflict. So there are some countries that have not ratified that because they use children, in fact, for their conflicts. Yes. Another one, the optional protocol on the communications procedure, communication. And the other one, the optional protocol on the sale of children, child prostitution, and child pornography. So, you know that this document is uploaded on the platform, and it is the theory for you. Let's analyze the 3rd optional protocol. So the 2 first optional protocols, I did not read that. I did not explain anything. I just mentioned it. But related to the 3rd optional protocol, the optional protocol on the sale of the children, child prostitution, and child pornography from 2000 provides explicit protection to children who are victims of trafficking. Those are also legal English expressions, trafficking, because trafficking is one defense, defined defense in the, for instance, in the criminal code, trafficking, que acá sería tráfico de personas. ¿Qué hace penal? Anaí, vos haces.
Trata de blancas.
Sí, de blancas no se dice más, pero trata.
No se dice blanca.
Trata de personas. Trata de personas. Trafficking. So trafficking is trata de personas. Child prostitution, child pornography. You know that I think that today they don't say en español, they don't say prostitución de niños o prostitución infantil. They say abuso de niños. Because I have watched a video explaining this concept. They say, if you say child prostitution, in fact, you are saying that this child is a prostitute because he or her or she wants to be a prostitute. But no, these children are being abused. So it's child abuse. In Spanish, we don't say prostitución infantil anymore. We say abuso infantil. Replacing the prostitution infantil. So child prostitution, child pornography, the same happens with pornography, because with pornography, you are saying that these children willingly have submitted themselves to be photographed or to be abused, but in fact they are abused. So it's child abuse. Yes, by the pedophiles. And explicitly prohibits these actions, the protocol. This document also outlines the standards for international law enforcement in issues such as extradition proceedings, jurisdictional factors, mutual assistance in investigation in different countries, and confiscation of assets, among others. For instance, confiscation of PCs, the computers, personal computers, or recordings, or any other furniture. Besides, the protocol obliges parties to pass law to take appropriate measures to protect children against these practices and to punish with heavy penalties anyone who breaches this protocol. The heavy penalties part is important because, for instance, the case the case Micaela happened because one abuser, one person who had raped 2 other girls, had received a very, very light type of penalty. He was allowed to go freely for a weekend, and during this weekend, he committed another rape with Micaela. And that is what happens with the Ley Micaela situation in Argentina, that in fact, because of this idea of en la duda en favor del reo, en la duda en favor del que ha cometido el delito, in doubt in favor of this person, the offender, in this situation they are providing some help to the offender and not to the victims, and then you are creating new victims. So these penalties against children and in the case of abusers should be heavy, and they wouldn't be allowed to go freely because they're going to commit it again. So and then you have a video there, but we are going to skip that part. Then we may follow on with my PPT. So that was the document that is uploaded, and you should study that because there are some activities related to that. So all of this, then. Now we're going to study, so we have already dealt with the C.R.C, yes? And then we are going to see a video if we have enough time. Then you have the second part, which is the ILO Convention related to the worst forms of child labor, child labor. Convention is repeated there, shouldn't be there. Child labor. So the Convention on the worst forms of child labor. Article 3 of the ILO, you know, Anaí, what is the ILO in Spanish? What is the ILO? No?
De la Convención de Trabajo Internacional.
No, but the ILO is an organization. It's the International Labor Organization. What is that in Spanish? Es muy conocido.
La OIT.
La OIT,
yes.
Exactly. That is,
yes.
that. Well, excellent, Vanessa. You didn't say anything. Okay.
No.
Excellent. No, porque si no
I
lo
take
dice
notes
Vanessa,
at the
no me deja
beginning.
hacer el ejercicio. Okay.
No, perdón, claro.
No, pero muy bien. ILO Convention, la OIT, the ILO Convention. You know, Tatiana, that OIT is ILO is an international organization that is very old, and it comes from, I think that from the 40s, the 1940s. And the ILO Convention is related to work and employment. And every state that is a member of the ILO has the right to send three representatives. And it is in Geneva. The organization has meetings in Geneva, you know, Ginebra. And every country has to send one representative of the government, one representative of the workers, employees, so the unions particularly, and one representative of the companies and employers. So it's a 3 parties representation. Yes. Okay, that's the ILO Convention, and the Convention 182 is the Convention on the worst forms of child labor. I will silence this. Okay. Article 3, it says, For the purposes of this convention, the term the worst forms of child labor comprises 1. All forms of slavery or practices similar to slavery, such as the sale and trafficking of children. So in this part, it coincides with the other convention. Debt bondage and serfdom and forced and compulsory labor, including forced or compulsory recruitment of children for use in armed conflict. So it is related to the other conventions. The use, procuring, and offering of a child for prostitution, for the production of pornography, or for pornographic performances. And C, the use, procuring, or offering of a child for illicit activities, in particular for the production of trafficking of drugs as defined in the relevant international treaties, and work which, by its nature or the circumstances in which it is carried out, is likely to harm the health, safety, or morals of children. That's the worst forms of child labor. You know that in Latin America, we have a very sad history of worst forms of child labor. In fact, during the colony, the Spanish people that came, the Spaniards, used children to send them to the mines because they are very little and they have very little hands and fingers. So they were used because of their little size, and they lost their lives. Millions of children lost their lives in Peru and other mines. But there are other situations in which children are used also in Latin America and other parts. And you are going to see, if we have time, a video, and it is showing that there are worse forms of child labor also in the United States. You will see. Okay, Article 6.1. Anaí.
Article 6.1. Each member shall design and implement programs of action to eliminate as a priority the worst forms of child labor. 2. Such programs of action shall be designed and implemented in consultation with relevant government, institutions, and employers and workers' organizations, taking into consideration the views of other concerned groups as appropriate.
Okay. And 2, each member?
2, each member shall take into account the importance of education in eliminating child labor, take effective and time-bound measures to A. Prevent the engagement of children in the worst forms of child labor. B. Provide the necessary and appropriate direct assistance for the removal of children from the worst forms of child labor and for their rehabilitation.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
And social integration. C. Ensure access to free basic education and wherever.
Sorry, I'm taking a picture. sorry, there.
Okay. Ensure access to free basic education and wherever possible and appropriate vocational training for all children removed from the worst forms of child labor.
Yeah.
V. Identify and reach out to children at special risk. And E. Take account of the special situation of girls.
Girls. So girls are important too. So lastly, so that's the last one. And I stopped sharing because I want to stop